Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about a Planes of Power locked Everquest server named Agnarr. This server has a lot of great features and great people, and it's really easy to jump into and have some fun. Agnarr officially launched in 2017, and while it is referred to as a PoP-Locked server, it technically isn't. It does have two more expansions after Planes of Power, and that is the Legacy of Yakisha and Lost Dungeons of Norath. Because of that, this means we get access to a few things like augments that will slide into your gear, several really cool clicky items, and some really cool places in Yakisha like Dulak and Crypt of Nadox that you can explore. Agnarr has a lot of similarities with some of the live and emulated servers out there, so I figured I'll go over a few tidbits about the server to start us off and hopefully answer some questions. First of all, the server does have instancing via Agents of Change. You do not have to fight over spawns. If you want to fight something, you can go open up a new instance of that zone with your group or raid, and you can go kill it that way. A lot of people are against this, but I think it's really nice, especially if you have a lot of competition for particular raid targets. The server also does have the updated zones, so like Freeport, Nectulos Forest, all that stuff is in. So you will have the updated skins for those zones. This server is TrueBox. If you're not familiar what that is, essentially what it does is it means that you can only have one EverQuest client per computer. Now you are allowed to box on this server, but if you want to do so, you have to have an additional computer per box that you want to play. And this is to encourage grouping and discourage boxing. We also get access to a lot of quality of life features such as a threat meter and an extended target window. The threat meter, essentially what it does is it shows you where you are on the target's threat list. This is really helpful for tanks and for caster DPS because the threat is so high and so bursty. So with the tank, you can see who's like runner up as far as threat goes on your threat meter, and then you know if you need to pop cooldowns or whatever. And alternatively, as like a DPS, you can slow yourself down if you see yourself creeping up on the main tank. It also gives a tool for the raid leaders to know, or the group leader to know, like who is not actively managing threat or who is, and things like that. The extended target window is super nice because you get 20 slots, so you can use this a couple of ways. One of the coolest ways is if you're a healer, you can put a lot of different people in your raid on the extended target window that aren't in your group, and you can have an easy way to target them and heal them. If you don't populate it with player characters, it will also dynamically update with mobs that are around. So if you guys get swarmed by, 10 or 15 mobs, they'll all show up on your extended target window, and you guys can prioritize based on what mobs are there. So if you have healers in the group, for instance, that are, are healing all the mobs, you can target the, NPC healers first and kill those first based on their names in your Xtar. So it's pretty convenient. Starting at level 5, we also get access to the Origin AA. This one is really important because on this server you can use it every 18 minutes, which means that if you get stuck in a dungeon or you're adventuring somewhere and you don't know how to get back, you can use this to go back to your starting city. Every race gets a different starting city, of course, so it'll take you to different places. Some of them are better than others. For instance, Wood Elf probably has one of the better locations as it takes you to Greater Fadark, right next to the Wood Elf city, and pretty close to a Plane of Knowledge book. On this server, most folks will gather up in Plane of Knowledge, so this is a great AA to have to teleport yourself pretty close back, and it's awesome quality of life. We also get access to maps here. In the early days, you didn't actually have access to maps, but we do have maps here. Some of the newer zones don't have complete maps or no maps at all. You can download third-party maps. They're from Brules or some other place that will just kind of fill in some of the line work and stuff for you. Or alternatively, if you're into that thing, you can create your own maps. We also get access to the /melody command here for bards specifically. So if you've got, you want to twist 4 songs together, you can do /melody and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will sing, the first 4 songs that are on your song bar. And you can do any combination of that, and it's an automated way to help you sing your songs, so you don't have to twist manually. This era for EverQuest was pretty magical for a number of reasons. One of the most prominent is that it had a massive amount of content with all the planes that were introduced. On top of that, they did a really good job of making this content feel like a grand adventure with the planes flagging and all the gods and deities that you get to kill. And because of all that, Planes of Power is probably one of the most, if not the most popular expansion or era in EverQuest. On Agnarr, we get a unique approach because we get the Planes of Power stuff, which means we can raid Plane of Time and the lower tier stuff like Plane of Fire, Water, Earth, and etc. But we also get to do 15 different Eldon raids that would award mostly augments, but you also get some cool clickies in there. And you can slot that stuff into your Plane of Time gear to make it stronger if you're interested in the in-game raiding scene. The amount of content with this combination of expansions is staggering, and because it's locked, if you're a busy person, you can put it down anytime and pick it back up later, and you never have lost any progress. You could stop for 2 years, and you can come back, log into your character, and you will be at the exactly same progression point that you were the 2 years prior, which is really awesome for busy professionals. Some of the most fun you'll have is teaming up with a bunch of guildies or friends and trying to see if you can take down increasingly harder content. All the while, you are strengthening your character through levels or AA or gear, or just learning more about your class and or strategies for different content. This is really a unique server, and it has a ton of great people and great content to play. It does require a subscription, but once you have an established character, you can make enough plat. You can usually buy Chrono if it's available. Hopefully, it will be. But most folks will buy Chrono to support their subscriptions versus paying for it with cash. If all of this sounds good to you so far and you want to give it a shot, let's go ahead and jump into how you can start out and be successful on this server. So the first thing you're going to need to do, if you don't already have Everquest downloaded, is you're going to want to do that. Download your client, and you're going to need to subscribe because Agnarr is only available to subscribers. So you'll need to subscribe and pay the $15 a month, or if you want to pay more, you can. But I recommend if you're first starting out, you probably just do the $15 a month just to try it out. The next thing you need to do is create your character. On Agnarr, pretty much any class is viable here. You can play whatever you want. There are classes that are more desirable than others, just like any other server probably. On Agnarr, popular soloers are probably Necros, Shamans, Beast Lords, and Enchanters. Popular general classes, which means you can probably always get a group if one is available, is Cleric, Mage, Monk, Ranger, and probably any tank. Tanks are a little bit harder to level solo because they don't have a means to heal themselves outside of healing potions and things. But tanks are pretty much mandatory in the end game, so if you want to play something that's desirable, a tank and or a cleric are usually good choices. But that said, play whatever you feel like, whatever that calls out to you, because you can play anything on this server and it can be valuable. The next thing is on this server on Agnarr, we meet at Soulbinder Jira, which is essentially a Soulbinder that's on the east side of Plane of Knowledge. All the people on the server all meet there, and that's where all the free buffs are. That's where everybody does trading and all kinds of stuff. So if you're first starting out and you want to get some buffs, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to your starting location, find your Plane of Knowledge book. You should be on your map. Click on that, it'll bring you to Plane of Knowledge, and then look for Soulbinder Jira. Once you get to her, you'll see a bunch of other characters around. You can either out of character or you can use general chat and you can ask for buffs. The ones that you're going to be looking for are Temperance, which is from a cleric. That'll give you about 800 hit points or so. You're looking for Chloroplast, which is a hit point regen buff. You can get that from a druid or a shaman. The other hybrid classes can cast it, but they get it at too late of a level for it to land on a low level, so you won't be able to get it from them. It needs to be a druid or a shaman. You're also going to want Shield of Thorns. That comes from a druid. Or you can get Shield of, I think it's called Lava. That's from a mage. Those are the two best damage shields you can get for a level 1. I think it's like 24 damage for the druid and 25 for the mage. If you're a mana class, then you can also get a buff called Aura of Quellius. That is a clicky effect that you have to get from an Lost Dungeons and Norath raid for an enchanter. If that's not available, you can also just get like Clarity, which is like significantly less mana per tick, but it'll still allow you to have basically unlimited mana. Another thing that's super important is the mount buff. I don't remember what it's called, but the mount buff, once you mount up on this mount, you can either use the House of Thule mount or you can get a mount from the store. It gives you like 300 hit points or something like that and a bunch of stats and resist and things. You only have to mount up once, it gives you the buff, and then it's permanent. It just stays on you at all times. Okay, so you've got your character created, you have all your buffs, you're all set up and ready to go fight. Where do you fight? Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. You can do your own starting city, or you can go to your favorite spot you remember from back in the day when you first played. Or if you've never played, you can just follow the path of least resistance, which is the way that most people on this server like to level their tunes. And that way is the first thing you do is you go over to the Kabbalist Stone in Plane of Knowledge. That's on the evil side. You'll click on that. That'll bring you to Field of Bone. That is the starting area for Ixars. It's a pretty good spot. One of the better newbie zones in my opinion. So you go there. and you'll immediately start killing some of the skeletons and the skilled wolves and all the stuff that's kind of near the book, heading towards the bowl area if you're familiar with that. If you're not, if you look at your map, it's just the area in the middle of the map that looks like a little bowl and has a bunch of different entrances on it. Once you get to about level 2 or 3, you can go inside the bowl and you can start killing skeletons and beetles and spiders and things like that. And you'll do that until you're about level 8 or so. Once you get to like level 8, level 9, somewhere in there, Kern's Tower is pretty near that Field of Bone bowl area, and it'll be like a little tower-looking thing. You'll go into that, and that will be pretty much all undead for the most part on the entrance and the upper levels. Most of it is undead, and because of that, nothing will run when it gets to low health. So it makes it really easy for you to run through, hit something and then run to the next thing, hit something, make sure you damage it, run to the next thing, hit something, and then your damage shield will end up killing those skeletons and you'll get experience. It's a really fast way to level. Once you get to about 14 or 16 at Kern's Tower, you'll want to relocate to Unrest. That's another popular area. It's off of Dagnar's Cauldron, which is through Butcher Block. And all this information can be found on Zam, which zones are connected to which, how to get to places, and all that. But if you get to Unrest, you'll start at the top area and you'll fight just the things that are inside of the yard, and then after that you'll move into the building and you'll start fighting some of the zombies and some of the skeletons and things. And once you hit about 22 to 25 or so, that's when you're going to start wanting to go back and find the Gunthic stone in Plane of Knowledge, and you'll go there and fight until you're about 32 to 35. In Gunthic, there's a little beach. When you first zone into the zone, you're on a ship. You'll need levitate, or you won't need it. You'll have to swim if you don't levitate. And you will go to the beach area. It's a giant beach area. You can't miss it. And on that beach are single pools of most things. So you can grab skeletons or whatever's on there. You can generally single pull it back to a safe spot. So you'll kill there until about 32 to 35 or so. And then after that, you'll go to the next zone in Gunthic, which is called Duloc. And you can go there until about 45 or sometimes even higher. It just slows down quite a bit. And you just need to be careful to make sure you don't get too many extra adds, because it's pretty easy to die in here. Once you're there at 43, you can group with any level on the server, because the max level is 65. So once you hit 43, you will get experience with everyone you group with. So from there, you can join like level 65 groups, level 50 groups, anybody that's doing anything. You'll be able to jump in and take a spot if they'll let you, which they usually will. Most people on this server are very friendly. So that's what generally will probably happen, and by then hopefully you've joined a guild, and your guild is pretty keen on helping you level and getting you thrust into the world of Agnarr. This server has an immense amount of content to experience and a lot of great people that you can meet. Here are the main guilds on the server. It's generally a good idea to align yourself with the schedule you like best. That way more people will be online when you're playing, and you can have the best experience possible on Agnarr. In order to join a guild, you just type /whoall and then the guild name, and you're going to do that in quotations, and then contact someone with the guild tag that is on that list and tell them you'd like to join or like to talk about the guild. They'll put you in touch with somebody who can invite you if they can't invite you themselves. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in Norath.